This is All About Home Construction. And here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning. And I can't say good morning, Randy, because Randy's like asleep this morning. No, I'm just picking on him. He's out and about this morning, but that's okay because we have an All About Home Construction, and we're live, and that's what matters. And, of course, you don't have to hear me ramble on by myself because I have a guest who I think has been on this show before, and maybe like I don't have enough fingers to count. And good morning, Scott Elliott from Blue Ridge Conservancy.
Hey, okay, so this is
or from football.
All about football construction.
I like this. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't even know what title you have anymore.
This isn't a rerun. This is live.
This is live.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Because and to prove it's live, it's raining and it may snow.
That doesn't prove that it's live.
Oh,
right.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. It is good to see you.
You too, man. Thanks for coming in.
I think last time I was here, we were talking about back to school festival.
I know it's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you've changed roles and we've shifted a little, but yeah, glad to be back.
Yeah.
And last time I was on your show for the football game, so it's only fair that I got you back in.
That was a mess. We had a good time.
That was a good time and a good game. So
yeah,
and a good season for the team.
It was a lot of fun, and I think folks probably listen to me every Friday morning in here with Mark Norris.
Right?
We just had a big time this season.
Yeah.
It was great watching Carson play and Grayson, our boys, and just a great season. And then we just rolled right into indoor track and wrestling, and I'm headed to a swim meet here in a few minutes.
I saw your shirt. I was curious. I wasn't sure if that was today or...
Yeah, we have a wrestling meet off the mountain today. And
I saw that, yeah.
Okay. And then swim meet. Folks want to come see a good swim meet. We don't have many home meets, but 10:30 today at Watauga Recreation Center.
Nice.
Come and see. We've had just an outstanding start.
I was going to say, I've kind of followed enough to know that they've had a good season start or whatever. So
I have to brag a little bit. Athena, my daughter's one of her relay teams, broke the school record in the first meet.
No way.
So
That's
a lot of strong swimmers. Of course, congratulations to Lauren Patterson. Her dad and grandfather are builders, the Ford family. So she's going on to Kentucky to swim, and just a lot of strong underclassmen. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
it's fun stuff.
We talk about all kinds of stuff.
That's how we roll, man. I love it. But no, we're talking a little bit all about home construction here in a little bit, and so much that we think of when we come to our home, right? Like we have a lot of issues when it comes to scenery. Like, that's why people come. Like it or not, we're a tourist place. And a couple weeks ago for Thanksgiving, we talked to David Jackson and, about the fact that Boone is a tourist town, right? We have a college. We pull people in for stuff like football games, basketball games, but we also pull them in for, like, the Blue Ridge Parkway. And how many people come up to get away, to go skiing, to see the mountains. And I think you and your organization now is really crucial to keeping that going.
Yeah. David and I, and I've worked with the chamber too. We talk a lot about what is our economy, and tourism is a big part of it. I cast it a little bit bigger than that. It's a quality of life economy.
That's fair.
Right. We want to we live here because, who wouldn't want to live here, right? For all the reasons.
Right.
All the reasons. Whether you want to come back because you went to App State or because you want to live in the mountains, have clean air, or all the scenery, the Blue Ridge Parkway, the quality education system that we have here. It's a quality of life community. And preserving our outdoor places is a huge part of that. And so I don't know if folks... sometimes I... talk to folks and like, well, what is Blue Ridge Conservancy? What is a conservancy? So, Blue Ridge Conservancy is based here in Boone. Our office is off of Aho Road between Boone and Blowing Rock. We're a nonprofit. We're not the government. We're a land trust. What we do is we work with willing landowners who want to conserve or preserve their land, either to keep it for themselves, so we can talk in a little bit about conservation easements, farmland preservation, things like that, or maybe their property has such strong conservation value that it's attractive for public land.
Right.
So, an example right now, we purchased the top of Time Castle.
Oh, nice.
The top of Seven Devils. And next month, it will get transferred to the state park system, and then will eventually become a part of Grandfather Mountain State Park.
Sweet.
So, we don't want to hold land. We can talk about the difference between us and like the Nature Conservancy and places like that, but we're sort of a middleman.
That's cool.
and we also help people to conserve their own land.
Well, you were just in the news this week with the Valley Crucis property, just down from the school, and you guys have kind of helped that process in the transfer over to the county, and so that's I think that's a great example of conserving the land and then now turning it into public.
Yeah, that's a great example. So we were able to acquire in total 8 acres right there along the river, and maybe we should talk about what is conservation and what do we value about land that helps us to decide what's worth doing. But it isn't just about buying and setting aside and never touching the land, and there is a role for that.
Sure.
And like the Nature Conservancy, they buy property with really delicate conservation needs or ecological needs, but we also have a real high value on access and recreation.
Right.
So we use a model we call the acres. We prioritize conservation on land that is either agricultural or has some cultural benefit or value, recreational. So we'll come back to Valley Crucis in a minute. Ecological, and many people think that that's primarily what we do, and in fact it is, but ecological. And then you mentioned it a minute ago, scenic value. So we were able to get in total those 8 acres along Broadstone 194, and we were able to put in a handicap accessible river access for folks who want to get in and paddle or people who want to fish. We have another access on the Watauga River, so we have this whole paddle trail that we're working on, and it's a great partnership between us, the landowner who wanted to preserve the land. We were able to get some state and local grants from the TDA and
I saw that. Yeah, that's
state,
pretty cool.
I believe maybe the State Parks and Recreation Trust Fund to help with that, and then it will eventually get transferred over to the county, and the county will own it as a park, and then we'll be out of it. But we made something great.
That's awesome. Well, and I definitely want to hit on different aspects of that, because as longtime listeners know on this show, the sort of while we talk a lot about construction on this show, and I definitely want to talk about homeownership in here in a little bit, but one of the other things that we talk about so much is agriculture, and then we talk about just the high country in general, and history and culture is huge in that, and so I think it's great, like you said, and I love, don't get me wrong, I love going to see the national parks, the national forests, and state forests and things, and so I'm all about the ecology too, but there's something that for me personally that's drawn more towards those cultural things, and seeing some of these historic farms that are preserved and things like that, like, to me is just there's just a draw to it, to me, an appeal. A
friend of mine said you wouldn't want to live somewhere that other people wouldn't want to come visit, right?
Right.
And there are a lot of reasons that people come to the high country, and historical value is one of those. The motto of Blue Ridge Conservancy is saving the places you love.
That's
and
cool.
And that acres model shows that there are a lot of different reasons why we love the high country, and we can play a role in preserving it. In a few minutes, after I guess we're going to take a break, we'll talk a little bit about just sort of the scope and scale of the work of Blue Ridge Conservancy, our service area, how many properties we've worked on, and then maybe some of the specific projects we have.
That's cool. Can't wait to get into that. Thanks for coming in. You're listening to All About Home Construction. Be right back. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. Hey, don't forget, I started talking with Scott Elliott here for the Blue Ridge Conservancy. You know, I started talking and I glazed right over the fact that our listeners can listen to us on the podcast.
That's super cool.
Yeah, all about home construction. So if you missed this, or usually what happens is like you hear something, you're like, wait, what was that? And then now you can go back and listen.
Usually what I do is just text you and say, are you live today?
Yeah, that's usually what happens. And I'm like, no, here's the link. But no, that's perfect. But no, go check it out. All about home construction, wherever you listen to podcasts. And then give me some time today, Dr. Elliott, and I will put this up on YouTube.
Super awesome.
So we are fancy YouTube.
Man.
Like and subscribe, man.
My kids are going to be so jealous.
I know. Of course, it's all audio, no video, but
for the better.
Yeah, well, you know. But anyway, thanks for coming in and talking a little bit about the Blue Ridge Conservancy. You know, I think you mentioned earlier, like, there's some misconceptions or just really, for the lack of a better word, ignorance. You know, people don't know what the Conservancy does. And you know, we see you, like I said, we see it in the news where, hey, we transferred this land, or we're working on this land, we've got this project. But it's really... There's really more to it than that, and especially, I'm sure, on the behind the scenes side.
Yeah.
And you mentioned one thing, and you know, we've talked about sort of the scenery thing, but you're going back to your acres. You know, the agriculture, to me, like I said earlier, is huge. I think that's a very important thing for the high country, because historically, we came up as a small farms, you know, communities. And we still see that in the community, in the county, and especially the surrounding counties, because you guys don't just work in Watauga, you're working in Ashe and Allegheny and some of the surrounding counties. And it's, especially as you get into Ashe and Allegheny, a lot of agriculture, small farms still happen. Whether it's Christmas tree farms, whether it's cattle farming and things like that. So what is that aspect of your organization?
Yeah, well, it's really important. And it's important, as you said earlier, for both not only the agricultural, but the historical, cultural, and even it's not part of acres, but it's, to some extent, economic development. Also, small businesses provide a lot to our economy. How many dollars and cars have you seen the last month coming up buying Christmas trees, for example? You think back to the historical agriculture in our community. It used to be a huge tobacco farming community. We are still nationally known as a cattle and beef cattle raising community, the Christmas trees, fisheries, all kinds of things. So, we work with farmers who want to conserve and preserve their land, either because they don't want to see it divided up, they don't want to see it developed, or maybe they don't have heirs to pass it on to, or maybe they do have heirs to pass it on to.
And they want to make sure.
And they want to make sure that it's preserved. Or maybe they need the tax benefits, and that's a big thing that we could a whole other episode of. But when someone conveys a conservation easement that protects their land, they also get a tax write-off for it, because in a way it reduces the appraised value of their land, because you can't develop it.
You can't build, yeah.
Right. So I heard Grace Shipley from Shipley Farms recently. I won't quote the statistic, but we are one of the top, I almost said leading because it's not a good thing, one of the top counties in the United States in loss of farmland.
Oh, I believe that, because... Yeah. Again, as we've shifted in the last, the last half decade, right? The last 40 years even, or a half century, like the last 30, 40 years, we've shifted a lot more into that, that we're a college town, football seasons come around, that's our appeal. We've got ski slopes. And again, so we're more of that touristy thing. And so, it especially as you get closer to town with the ASU and the campus, look at how many apartment buildings and things like that are popping up. And so, being an education guy, Hardin Park at one time used to be a cattle field, and so...
And not to be hypocritical, a lot of us live on ridgetops or out in fields that used to be farms, right? And there is a place, an appropriate place for development and construction. We are not anti-development. I mean... There's just keeping things in balance. So you mentioned this earlier, the areas. We are a nonprofit based here in Boone, but we serve 7 counties in the Northwest. Nice. Allegheny, Ashe, Watauga, Wilkes, Avery, Yancey, and Mitchell. And I was over in Burnsville yesterday to talk to some folks about what we do. We have, I think, 156 different properties that have conservation easements on them. We've saved, since 2010, over 25,000 acres, but 15,000 of those have been in properties with conservation easements, many of them farms. I was over in Allegheny County a couple of weeks ago on about 3 different farms that are either used cut for hay or timber or grazing. And they also tend to have some other ecological value. They may have a tributary. They may be along the New River. They may be along the Watauga. And so saving that farm is also saving the watershed that provides the water for the town of Boone or Blowing Rock or Sparta or wherever.
I mean, I would imagine a lot of these two tie in together. Now, again, going back to your acronym there with acres, the agriculture is scenic for a lot of people, but it's also ecological too, in that it's, like you said, it's protecting the watersheds. It's, that's right. Birds coming through on migration, nesting in the fields. It's sort of a dual purpose in a lot of places.
That's right. We have a friend, that we work with, who has a conservation easement on his property up in the meat camp community, and he set it aside for conservation, permanent preservation, just to create habitat for migrating birds.
That's cool.
Because that's a thing that he preserved, and he was able to get a tax benefit that helped him with the ownership of a large parcel of land. So there's a lot of win-win-win that goes into these things.
Well, on the agriculture side, though, like, you can still use the land for agriculture.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's one thing that I always worry about. I guess is like, because you like again, I hate to keep going back to the most recent news, but the land that's that's going to be transferred over to the county for a park. That's one thing. But as a farmer, if I own the land and I want to conserve keep my farm going for another century, I can still do that in the conservation. Just because you put it in a conservation doesn't mean that you're taking the steps to make it into a public land or make it into a park.
Absolutely. So first of all, back to what I said earlier, Terry, we work with landowners. We're not the government. We work with landowners who want to preserve their own property. So the conservation easements ultimately are constructed in the way that the landowner wants. I'm thinking of a farm that we have conservation easements on over in Ashe County. It actually has 3 different conservation easements on it. One that sets aside a little building envelope for where the house and some other buildings are that allow for, the barn and things like that. And another that allows for agricultural purposes for 4,000 blueberry bushes that this family has, and they have a commercial blueberry farm there. And another easement that sets aside the ridgetop and the forested property where the homeowner wanted to make sure that nothing ever happened. So the homeowner was directly involved in the development of the conservation easements. Now, it has to maintain that conservation value.
Right.
We can't say, we have a 20-acre property and we want to build on 15 of it and keep 5 of it for conservation. Probably there wouldn't be the funds available that we try to help to get for the homeowner that would help with that.
Sure.
But in most cases where you're talking about, a small carve out for the home or the business or whatever, then the rest of the property is to continue to be used. Yeah, the historical, recreational, or agricultural value needs to continue.
Do you guys worry about like I mean, I know you talked about what you look for, but how do you value that? How do you determine, okay, this property has, fits one of those 5 acronyms?
Well, we have one of the best land protection directors in the whole country, Eric Hegel. Many people know him. He's a longtime conservationist here in the high country, and props to Eric. He was recognized last year as the governor's North Carolina Conservationist of the Year and the Southeast Fish and Wildlife Service Conservation of the Year. I hate to say Eric just knows, but Eric just knows. It's often obvious. We're probably talking about larger parcels of property, and we're probably talking about properties that have distinct values of some kind. Maybe there is old-growth hardwood. Maybe there is a stand of native flowers or something that is really rare and unique.
Gotcha.
Maybe it adjoins other public land. Maybe it's up around Meat Camp and is close to being near the state park up there. And so we that's another thing we do for recreation, but it also has ecological value, is growing these public spaces that we all own. And so there are some sort of, not mathematical, but sort of formulas, if you will, for determining whether or not something is a good project for then going after state or federal grants or even private donations to help make something possible. But they tend to be larger pieces of land, and they tend to have some really distinct feature on them.
And I guess that's why we see the century-old farms. We see the river, like you mentioned, along the New River, along the parks and Parkway. I know you guys have some property that you've worked through that's near or on the Parkway.
We transferred quite a bit of property to the Parkway, to the state park system. A lot of our property gets transferred, that we are able to broker, gets transferred to the Wildlife Resources Commission. And we still own some small bits of land ourselves that maybe were gifted to us or we purchased in the past with the hopes of being able to grow it. And we allow recreation and hunting and those kind of things on our property. Two big projects we haven't even talked about yet, and they're probably the things that we are most known for, the Middle Fork Greenway Trail.
Right.
Yeah. Wendy Patapersti was in on the radio station with Mark on Wednesday to talk about that, and it sort of encompasses most of that acres model. It's really exciting. And one of the newest state trails, the Northern Peaks State Trail, and Jordan Sellers is our director of that, a 40 to 50 mile trail that will go from downtown Boone to the Jeffersons, to West Jefferson and Patty
that's
Mountain.
Going to be fun
over there.
So pretty much following the river along the way, or
actually following here's new vocabulary for you, the Amphibolite Mountains, the oldest of the oldest of the Appalachian Mountains. So think about Pond Mountain, not Pond, but three top snaggy. Basically, if you can imagine drawing a line from River Street, up Junaluska, Howard's Knob to Elk Knob, all the way over to West Jefferson. And so the reason that is so important.
Great. That's cool.
It's so cool. It's so important to us is, well, I mean, how cool would it be to hike from town to town? Right?
Yeah,
but also think about just the sensitive ecosystems and old mountains and old growth forests and some plants that you can only find there and in Canada.
Right.
That we need to be able to save and preserve those lands. So why build a trail through it? One, because that actually we can build a trail in a way and in a place that helps to direct people away from those sensitive ecological places and bring more people out to the outdoors so that they can see it, value it, and want to protect it.
Well, we live just a few minutes basically away from the Appalachian Trail.
Right.
And I've done Mountain to Sea Trail, and I've done some day hiking and stuff through there, and the trails it's not like the Greenway Trail like you had mentioned. It's not a paved wide 6-foot trail through there. It's really just a footpath, and so it does minimal harm, if you will, to the ecology around. It's very much one of those you get out, it does as much good or more good than it does damage.
For a few people who in this community I appreciate really, really are tuning into this idea of ecological protection and balancing that with recreation, the Northern Peaks State Trail is the only one of the state designated trails, and there are a lot in North Carolina. You mentioned Mountains to Sea Trail, that is actually or has worked with the North Carolina Natural Heritage Program. We are bringing in those state officials, and they are looking at a wide swath along the path of the trail and the other areas around the trail to inventory every single plant along the way to determine, to make sure that we are placing the trail in a way that has minimal ecological impact. And I would say actually has ecological benefit by, again, keeping foot traffic away from those places. So.
Well, and you got the benefit of identifying that so that you not just keep it away, but you can watch that, you can monitor that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. And
yeah.
Again, to me, all of it goes back to again, I'm a historical, cultural kind of guy. To me, it all goes back to that because 100 years ago, 200 years ago, it's keeping it in that realm, that aspect, and again, whether it's along the river or in a farm or mountains to top.
Yeah. Well, I want to mention another thing that could be a whole other longer conversation, but back to the ecological value. For how long, Terry, have people been coming to the mountains to get away from the heat and dryness of the lowland?
Blowing Rock was established essentially for that reason.
Asheville, Brevard, Boone. I mean, these are all places with pioneer families that settled and things developed, but really they are also places that people come to because of that ecological value. Well, that's not changing. We have learned that the Appalachians are among one of the 4 places in the entire world that is the most both vulnerable and resilient to climate, call it whatever you want, natural, man-made, whatever, climate change. And guess what? People are moving here.
Sure. Well, it's evident.
So, so all things in balance, right? An ecosystem keeps things in balance. We have to be able to save the places, enough of the places, so that we can continue to be resilient, but also so that that we can be the place that people want to come to. You know, what is you can't cut down all the truffle trees, right?
Yeah.
So that's a thing that we take seriously, is being able to maintain the ecology of this place so that we can continue to be a healthy and resilient community.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's what it's all about, right? I mean, who doesn't want to take care of what they have?
That's right.
And I mean, that's the simple of it. We'll take another break. We'll come right back right after this. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener-supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener-supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right. All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And thanks to Scott Elliott for coming in from the Blue Ridge Conservancy. Appreciate you coming in and spending a Saturday morning on. I know you're busy, and you got swimming later on. You got wrestling later on. You got the parade later on.
I can go to the hardware store here in a minute.
Hardware store.
I got some projects at home.
I know. You got that window you got to fix.
Yeah.
You just need to build a new house, man.
I'm just about building a new house. I tell you what, the house that's 25 years old, and just like, I don't know, I'm now double 25 years old. I'm having to fix some things up myself.
I know, right?
Yeah, so I've got these pesky windows that the seals have broken. They're getting foggy, and it doesn't bother me, but you know. My wife is saying, I can't see the...
I can't... You start cleaning the windows.
So, of course, I have the most difficult windows to repair possible, but can't say enough about Will over there at Miller Industries.
Yeah.
He's helping me problem solve, and I'm going to go cut out some of the glass and take it over there and let them help me replace it.
You're a brave man cutting out glass.
Hey!
I mean... It's a great until.
No, you want to talk about being brave? It's replacing the magnetometer in your microwave.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go watch those videos. They say don't do this.
Don't do it. As I show you how.
As I show you how. Right. Wow. Or run the 240 line to your garage for your EV charger.
Yeah. You only get shocked once.
Those are some episodes. But yeah. Busy day. Good to be here. I miss talking to you, Terry.
You too, man. It's just fun, and we love having you on. And again, it's I still think there's probably someone turning it on and being like, well, it's not a Friday night football game, and what's he doing on
and
there?
It's not Randy, and where's the pancake breakfast? Shout out to Randy. I miss him too.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's a bionic knee replacement this week.
I heard he's gearing up for a half marathon.
Probably, I think that's where it's a short-term goal. Long-term goal is, I know he's going to listen to this later on the podcast if he's not listening right now. So I know for a fact within a year the full marathon is going to be happening.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
The cool thing is, if anyone knows Randy, like, he'll still be running with his hat on. And it's going to be great to see. So
yeah. Good to see you.
But no, thanks for coming in. Again, we've talked a little bit about the conservation side of things. again, we think of all the ones that make the news is what everyone thinks about, and so those are typically the projects that you do pass along. You're helping broker the more of the recreation or conservation type places. But like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of parcels, there's lots of places that you guys have done that people probably drive by and don't even realize.
That's right. Yeah.
So what, as someone who, I don't have the scenic property, I don't have this historical property, what does it even matter then that we conserve this land with you guys?
Well, because we all we all want clean drinking water. We all want clean air. We want to grow up in a place where our children can go outside in the natural world, and it doesn't take you long. You mentioned, getting out on the Mountains to Sea Trail. You can go pretty much within, depending on where you live in the county,
right,
20, 30 minutes, or in my case, 2-3 minutes, right, and get out into the woods or onto a trail. Raising our kids in this place is a very special thing, and being able to save that, even if it's not on your own land, even if you live in an apartment building, it matters that we save this place. For me, my why is that I grew up in Western North Carolina. I've only lived in a community that has the Blue Ridge Parkway running through it, and I want my great-grandchildren, who I'll probably never meet, to be able to enjoy these mountains and these people just as much as I have.
Well, I'm with you on that. I think about it, and even when I went to college, I went to Mars Hill, and I'm still was in the mountains. I grew up literally looking at the mountains, at the foot, and same thing. I've not lived anywhere, and honestly, when I went to college at Mars Hill was probably the furthest away from the Blue Ridge Parkway I've ever been, because I know from home to the Blue Ridge Parkway up in Virginia, I was 7 miles from it.
Right. It also matters because the people you work with, the people you go to church with, the people who are your neighbors also make a livelihood out of our natural resources, whether they're in the building trades or whether they are farmers or whether, they have a recreation business in some way. But I don't think you have to explain to people too much that things are changing. And we want to, as we said earlier, save these places. We're not going to be able to save everything, and it isn't our role to save everything or prevent development. But there are enough special places that have scenic or agricultural, recreational, ecological value that we can play a role in helping to set some of that aside. Now, for another episode, another day, I'd love to talk about some things that homeowners can do around
definitely
around their own homes. Whether it's putting out bird food for native birds, go down to your local pet store or local hardware store and ask them about what kind of food that you need, or planting some native plants around your home rather than just having grass everywhere in your yard, or buying a plant that typically only grows in Florida, or things like that, or being mindful of how water runs across your water runoff, or if you have a stream or something like that on your property. Whole other conversation. But it should matter to people because we want to live in a healthy environment. We want to live in a healthy community that our children and grandchildren can enjoy.
Well, I think, and again, not to get on too much of a rabbit hole, I think too much when we think of this pollution, so to speak, we think of sort of the big topic news, this power plant here, this plant there. And it really is as simple as not throwing a cup out the window,
That's right.
I mean, and I hate to minimize it, but I think there's sometimes we think of these big, grand things, and we sort of overlook the little simple things. And green building, we've talked about that on the show. And green building was the same thing that our grandparents were doing.
Waste not, want not.
I mean, that's not political. That's not modern. That's just something that people do to get by, And I think sometimes we forget that and we overlook that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned driving by the places and just sort of taking it for granted. I've had the privilege, ever since my last day in the school system, to drive to my new job at Blue Ridge Conservancy, which I love very much. And I take the Blue Ridge Parkway from my house out towards Deep Gap out to Ajo. And so I just want to invite people to come by and see us now on our conservation campus on Ajo Road. That's where our offices are located. Many people may not know that's where our offices are, but they know that there is a 2.2-mile trail there. So there's a gravel parking lot with a trailhead. We have 46 acres there that we have under conservation
Okay,
easements
nice.
with a trout stream, a pollinator meadow. I think we tagged over 100 monarch butterflies and released them on their way. I hope they're all in Mexico by now. We had a little plot of a garden that Hunger and Health Coalition and some volunteers used for growing fresh foods for local families, and people can come out from dusk to dawn. Is that right? Sun up, sundown. There you go.
Yeah.
To come out and hike our trail, and then walk up the hill and come in the office and see us.
That's really cool.
We're trying to walk the walk, our own walk there, by taking care of and conserving that property. You also probably drive down 321 and you're going through the S curves there. They used to say "Stay alive" on 105. We need to come up with a jingle for 321.
Yeah, right.
So 321, and you probably don't realize that you're driving by. One of the most beautiful parts of the Middle Fork Greenway. It looks like a beautiful river you would see in Pisgah National Forest. Yeah. And we've been able to purchase 33 acres across from Boone Golf Course that will become the Boone Gorge Park, so that the public can go in and access that part of the river that has some historical value. That, Terry, is the place where Appalachian State and before New River Power and Light used to bring in the water. There used to be a dam there, chutes that brought water down to a hydroelectric station that provided the first power to the town of Boone. And so we're going to be able to help people to access that and see it and enjoy it. Also, and some of this is happening, I think maybe even today on the 321 trailhead out by stopping at Birdie's, the coffee trailer there, and get a cup of coffee. We are working with the Watauga Arts Council to put up sculptures along the 321 park, the 321 corridor, and a lot of art. I should have checked with Wendy today. We may actually have a crane out there.
Sweet! Like in the work, like soon. It's happening.
Yeah. Thanks to Chandler Concrete for donating the pads that put for the basis for those. So we're increasing, public art and access to the river and protecting the river by being able to do that in a way so that we are minimizing stormwater runoff and pollution.
That's cool. How much longer does that project have to go from Boone to Blowing Rock?
How much longer in time?
In terms of distance. I mean, I know because you guys have a lot of sections built.
We do. It's exciting. There's been tremendous progress on the Middle Fork Greenway, and thanks to all of the donors, the Roundup for the Greenway, and all the people that have made it happen. 2 miles of that are completed. You can get out there right now and walk across the bridges and the footpaths and fish and see the artwork. 2 miles of that are under construction right now, and folks will begin to see after the trout moratorium lifts late winter, early spring, that we will be building a box culvert underneath 321 at Tweetsy Railroad so that you can get from one side of the road to the other. That will leave about 2 miles that are right now in planning and development, and really is a matter of the donations that we get. So and the partners along the way. We're working with the Blue Ridge Parkway about how the Greenway path will get under the Parkway Bridge there or up over the Parkway on 321. We have some property owners that have offered easements across the front of their property or driveways wherever they meet up with 321. And then we have, how are we going to get back across the road, back over to the hospital and connect to the bigger Greenway Trail. But it's happening. That's a lot of exciting things are happening because of the donations that people give to us. And there'll be a day when, if you wanted to, and talk about getting out and onto these trails, you could walk from downtown Blowing Rock to downtown Boone, onto the Greenway, down to King Street, onto the Northern Peak State Trail, onto West Jefferson. Now that'd be more than a day hike, but the connection of these trails. I mean, that's and the connection and back to cultural. I could talk about Middle Fork Greenway all day. That project really started in the mid '90s by old time families along 321. Who suddenly now were divided because of the 4 and 5 laning of Highway 321. And they wanted to say, how can we reconnect our families when the kids used to run across the road to Grandma's house and play or go down the road?
That's kind of cool. So I didn't think about that connection.
So we're protecting the river, creating recreation, adding art, and some cultural value as well.
Nice. We're going to take our last break, and we'll come right back right after this. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right. All about home construction here on WAT. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. We do appreciate you. Check out the Facebook page, All About Home Construction, and Dr. Scott Elliott with the Blue Ridge Conservancy. I'm going to put this up on the Facebook page. We'll put it up on the podcast later. And so we'll also get your contact information on there as well, so people can reach out to you. And I'm gonna get that up here in a little bit. Of course, you got the website, blueridgeconservancy.org.
That's right.
And then, so my question is, and I was sort of looking at the website here, and it's like, how do you participate? So I don't have land, but I want to help the cause out. How do I join the cause?
Yeah, I said we're a nonprofit, so we do all this based on donations. Right. So there's no way around just saying we need help. Yeah. You know, we need, and we so appreciate people's generosity. We have folks that give us. I think I received an envelope the other day with $8 in it.
Nice.
All the way up to very, very large donations of foundations or individuals who want to support this work. But it's it's a full-time job to make sure that we have the money to be able to do this and to have this. We have a relatively small staff, but a very professional staff that has been doing this for a very long time. So blueridgeconservancy.org, there's a big donate button there. Yep. You can become a member. You can donate monthly. You can sign up to have a recurring payment from your credit card. Every small amount adds up. Or you can be a member of our pledge program. And that helps us to plan and know kind of how much money we're going to have in the future. Folks who want to make a 3-year pledge. Nice. Maybe people want to make an end-of-year financial donation, looking at tax time coming up.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You're being a nonprofit of 501, you get those tax breaks, especially if I got a business.
That's right.
It's a perfect place to give.
That's right. And we have some folks who do that. So you can contact me, Scott, at blueridgeconservancy.org. We accept stock. We once upon a time took cryptocurrency. We have people who want to sometimes donate things to us that maybe we don't know what to do with. Yeah. But that financial support just means so much to us, and it goes a long way. And we will be having some events for our donors out at our Blue Ridge Conservancy Conservation Campus now that it's opened. We paved the parking lot.
That's
we have
really
some
cool.
lights up and things. We invite people to come out and see us. We'll also have some volunteer opportunities, and we'll be doing some educational programming starting in the spring.
Well, I know that you guys do a lot of like the once a month or so in the summer, springtime. I know you guys are doing the nature walks and, and hikes.
And we just started a new series that Jordan started with the Northern Peak State Trail called the Amphiba Hikes. And so,
I love that,
so one Thursday a month, he has been taking people out to hike. I think went to Elk Knob and went to Mount Jefferson this past week.
Cool.
And so that's separate from those hikes that we do one Saturday a month out onto one of our conservation properties so people can see what we do.
That's cool.
That's a great place to start. Go to our website, look at our events, sign up for one of our activities, come out, get to know us, and see if we're the kind of organization that you would like to support.
Well, I love it. I mean, again, the website, it says here you've protected over 25,000 acres, but I like it. So there's a protect, there's a join, and there's an explore, and all three are very informal in terms of like giving us lots of information and telling us what to do and how to do it. And I love it. It's a great website. It's easy to navigate.
And follow us on social media, whether that's the X, Facebook, or Instagram, Blue Ridge Conservancy. You'll see lots of great and exciting things that we're doing and be able to keep up with all the ways that you can help save the places you love.
Yeah, we just got to get you on TikTok.
TikTok. I don't know. I don't even know how to dance.
I don't have TikTok. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a TikTok kind of guy, in case you...
Oh. Well, Leela Jackson is our public relations person. She's a genius, creative person, so you'll see all kinds of fun and exciting things and ways to stay connected and get involved.
That's cool. Well, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thanks for spending your time with me on a lovely, busy Saturday morning. I know you got things to do, but I appreciate you coming in and just talking with us a little bit.
Yeah, it's always good to see you.
You too, man.
Always great to talk to your listeners, and I always learn something new every week.
We try. That's what we try for. That's our goal, and hopefully today we'll help some people out too. And good luck to you guys, and I can't wait. Again, all these projects, I love hearing them when they pop up. It's like, I never heard about that one. I knew that. I was wondering what was going on with that. So.
Get outside, hit a trail, come see us on a hill road, and let's save the places you love.
Let's do it. All right. Well, thanks for listening to us. We'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Thank you for listening to All About Home Construction on the podcast. We record this live every Saturday on AM 1450 and FM 96.5 WATA in Boone, North Carolina. You can become a supporter by supporting this with a small monthly donation, and that'll help sustain future episodes. You can do that for as little as 99 cents a month, and that'll go a long way to help our show. Do that, you get your name or your company name included in our advertisements. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.